Quick introduction to Deanna Mulligan, who's going to introduce our next CEO. Deanna is the CEO of Guardian Life and also is on the board of Vanguard. And most important of all, is also on our board at CECP. So we're really delighted to have Deanna here to introduce our next CEO. Deanna?
Thank you, Daryl. And thank you to Emma. That was a great presentation. And now I have the distinct honor of introducing Mauricio Gutiérrez. He is the president and CEO of NRG Energy, based in Princeton, New Jersey. Mauricio joined NRG in 2004 and helped build it from a regional wholesale generation business to a national Fortune 500 diversified energy company. NRG is the nation's leading competitive power generator, and they're also a major competitive energy retailer that serves nearly 3 million retail customers and is also one of the country's largest owners and operators of renewable power facilities. Mauricio began his career as a senior consultant and project manager at Mexico City-based DTP Consultores, and he later joined Dynegy's management program and served in various positions in the Southeast and Texas. He holds a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering from Universidad Panamericana and 2 master's degrees, one in mineral economics from the Colorado School of Mines and one in petroleum economics from the French Petroleum Institute. So today, Mauricio is going to talk to us about NRG's long-term plans. So please welcome Mauricio to the stage.
Thank you, Deanna.
Welcome.
Well, thank you, Deanna, for that very kind introduction. And, it's an honor to be here with all of you today. And I want to thank the CECP for organizing these type of forums where we companies can come together and talk about our long-term prospects. I also share many of the feelings from CEOs that have been in this forum where long-term sustainable value for our shareholders can only be achieved by creating value to all stakeholders, employees, customers, suppliers. And we have to do it in a responsible way on our communities and a responsible way to our planet. So the conversation today is actually very well timed, as both our company and our industry is going through significant, profound changes. More than ever, consumers of electricity have the opportunity to shape how the electric industry is going to look in the future. Now, I want to talk today about the trends that are affecting our industry, provide you a quick update on our transformation plan and our long-term strategy, and finally, give you a perspective on our corporate citizenship. What I can say in short to all of you is that everyone at NRG is very excited about the future of electricity. We see a compelling opportunity to transform our business so it can thrive over the long run, and importantly, an opportunity to redefine the electric power sector. Perhaps a good place to start is by putting the power industry in context. I think we can all agree that power, or electricity, is a fundamental to running our modern economy. But it's only going to increase its importance. By 2050, 50% of every energy that we consume is going to come from electricity. This is up from 20% today. So given the important role in our society, you may be asking yourself, what do we mean by redefining power? And it's not that our electrons are better than our competitors. You know, when we're saying that we're working to redefine power, I'm talking about reimagining, reinventing, and reshaping how electricity is being produced, delivered, and experienced by individuals and businesses. It is about improving the way consumers engage with electricity in their everyday lives. You know, when we think about electricity, most people here in the room may think about a commodity with very little differentiation. And that is not entirely unfair given our history. But if you go back 10 years ago, where coffee was just coffee, TV was just TV, and taxis were a way to get from point A to point B, we took what was offered to us. But what happens when someone asks the question, is there a better option? A more convenient option? A more individualized option? One that creates more value? Well, through the forces of competition and innovation, we end up with companies like Starbucks, Netflix, or Uber, who fundamentally change the way we engage with these previously undifferentiated products. I mean, if you think about it, all of these transformations are all around us. And I believe the power sector should be no exception. So I want to challenge all of you for a second and think, what would you ask for if you had as many choices for electric power as you do on other products or services? You know, would you ask for 100% renewable, 100% reliable? How about free power at nights or during the weekends? Perhaps earning miles every time you pay your bill, or donating to your favorite charity. How about getting a credit on your bill if you're willing to move your thermostat a few degrees when it gets really cold or really hot? At NRG, we are obsessed with asking these questions. And we are committed to finding good and better answers. We want to bring the same level of customization, control, and value that other consumer goods have to electricity. This product that enables so much in our lives. And for our investors in the room, please make note of our safe harbor. So now, let me switch gears for a moment and talk a little bit about our history and the company that we are today. You know, as I was saying, NRG began as a power generation company, a spin-off that was the result of electric deregulation in the 90s. You know, we were a lot smaller then, really just a regional generator. Over time, though, we transformed the company from a small generator to an integrated energy company with national presence, both in generation and retail. This change was the first shift in value since deregulation. For many years, commodity prices were high, and this benefited our generation business. But then we had the shale gas revolution that resulted in the collapse of natural gas prices. And this led us to diversify our business into retail and eventually into renewables as generation margins shrunk from our traditional or conventional power plants. I mean, this was an important and critical test on our ability to adapt. And the company we are today is a testament to that ability to assess market trends, embrace change, and reposition successfully. Today, we are one of the largest competitive power companies in the United States. I want to underscore the word competitive. For those of you who do not follow our industry closely, only about half of the entire generation capacity of the country is actually competitive. The rest is regulated, meaning they are under a monopoly structure or what we refer to as a utility. And retail, it's even less than that. We have a generation business that owns and operates enough generation capacity to power nearly 17 million homes, mostly in Texas and the Northeast. And we have the largest competitor retailer, supplying power to over 3 million homes and businesses. While I'm proud of how the company has grown, our greatest differentiator is not just the scale of our platform, but how we approach the integration of generation and retail, which goes beyond just owning both businesses. What makes us unique is the common platform that holds these two businesses together. The way we are able to share knowledge, costs, and opportunities. Owning two complementary pieces of the same value chain is beneficial. And we fully harness the power, and here no pun intended, of having retail and generation under one roof. For example, we can leverage and share commercial and market expertise, or procure and design effective solutions for commercial customers. We run these businesses with a common objective, and that is to provide more value to our customers. So before I continue talking about our long-term strategy, I think it's important to understand the key trends affecting our industry. Although there are many influencers in our sector, like policy or market design, I see three mega trends that are most relevant to our business. I am sure that many of you here in the room can relate to them in your respective sectors. But I want to focus my comments specifically on how they're manifesting themselves in the power industry. First is the decarbonization of our economy. Second is the digitization of just about everything. And third is the era of customization. So let me start with the need to decarbonize our economy. I mean, this is a major trend. From my perspective, it is more an imperative that is driving significant change in the power sector. Renewable energy, both wind and solar, are the most visible technologies helping us to decarbonize. These resources, once very expensive, have become one of the cheapest forms of generation. And all I can tell you is that they're going to get cheaper, and we're going to use a lot more of them. And of course, right behind them are batteries. And they're going to continue, they're going to have the same path as renewables did. Another one, perhaps not readily apparent to most people, is the impact of shale gas. You know, shale gas has provided this country with abundant, low-cost domestic fuel. I believe this is one of the great disruptors of our economy in the past 5 or 6 years. And it has completely changed the economics of the power industry and the power generation specifically. It has challenged the profitability of nuclear and coal plants. As a result of these two disruptors, the carbon intensity of the power sector has decreased 30% over the past 15 years. This is a good start, but there is a lot more to do. We cannot take our foot off the pedal when it comes to addressing climate change. The second trend I want to highlight is digitization. It is revolutionizing our sector from connected and smart devices to big data. The Internet of Things is enabling the Internet of Electricity. So what does it mean when data can flow along electrons? It means the electric grid can change from a highly centralized analog system where power is generated in a small number of places and flows in one direction to a decentralized, highly digital, and multi-directional grid where power can be generated in large power plants, but also on roofs or parking lots. I mean, imagine a day when trucks and buses are all electrified and become large sources of power demand and supply. I mean, this is a radical change on how we operate the grid today. Digitization is also enabling real-time control of devices and making demand much smarter. We call this demand response in our industry. In essence, it allows consumers to reduce demand during peak conditions like extreme hot or cold weather, which are also usually associated with high prices, saving them money. In some cases, both large and small consumers can even get paid for this service. This is the premise of smart grid, enabling anything from customized rate plans to the ability to curtail large amounts of demand very quickly. Last, we have the trend that is giving more power to the consumer. Consumers today expect a range of choice and the ability to have a personalized experience with nearly everything they consume. We get our coffee the way we want it, and we like it, and we buy things anywhere and anything with a click. We're now used to getting services delivered the way we want them, where we want them, and from whom we want them. In the power industry, this level of customization is only starting to emerge. For example, many commercial and industrial customers want to source their power from renewable energy without compromising reliability or affordability. But to be candid, our sector doesn't make it any easy to them. Currently, companies have to sign 20-year power purchase agreements or contracts that essentially forces them to become industry participants, when all they want is to have electricity and they want to focus on running their businesses. Also at home, our consumers are discovering new ways to interact with power. Technologies like smart thermostat and appliances, and even electric vehicles, are giving individuals more choice and control than ever before, all at the touch of your smartphone or the sound of your voice. All of these things, all of these trends led us to rethink our purpose and our value proposition as a company. I've been in the energy industry for most of my professional career, and with NRG close to 15 years. I can tell you that we're embarking on a new era in the power industry. The disruptive trends I just mentioned are causing a fundamental value shift in our industry. We are transitioning from the old model where value creation was primarily in the power generation side of our business to a new system where value creation is in retail. We have been transforming our business with a new sense of purpose to provide better and more valuable energy solutions to our customers. This is guiding everything we do, from the makeup of our generation portfolio to how we're organized and work internally. We're focused on becoming the energy partner of choice for homes and businesses and on creating energy solutions that meets the needs of the 21st century power consumer. Importantly, this move takes us away from the feast or famine of generation-centric business to a more predictable and attractive customer-centric business. It also reinforces our commitment to a better and more sustainable energy future, one that will be driven more by customers and less by utilities or generators. This is exactly how we're working to redefine the power sector and to transform the company. Now, these type of transformations do not happen overtime or overnight. So I just want to take a minute to talk about the steps we have taken today to fully achieve this vision and purpose. First, we had to stabilize the business. as the company grew, we ventured too far from our core. This created complexity and burdened our cost structure. We lacked a clear line of sight to value. So in the first phase, we refocused on stabilizing the business, reducing complexity by selling underperforming assets or businesses, streamlining costs, and strengthening our balance sheet. Next, we had to right-size our business. We looked at our core competencies and the most compelling trends in our industry, and we put together a plan to accelerate our transformation. We're currently executing on a 3-year plan and are on track on all our targets. That brings me to today. Having taken all of these important steps to shore up our financial health and to focus our efforts on our core competencies, we are now in a position to move full steam ahead into our next phase. Achieving our future state will depend on the successful execution of 4 key elements: growing our portfolio of retail brands, refocusing our generation business to be more purposeful, delivering predictable earnings and strong free cash flows, and maintaining discipline on our capital allocation. All of these goals have to be underpinned by strong governance and a comprehensive sustainability framework, which I see not as individual pillars, but as a foundational bedrock for our strategy, something that neither we at NRG nor anyone else can succeed without. But I'm going to come back to that later. First, in our strategic transformation is the continued developing of our retail brands. As I highlighted at the beginning of the presentation, we are currently the largest competitive retail company in the country. We have a multi-brand, multi-channel strategy with premium brands like NRG and Reliant, and more niche brands like Green Mountain Energy that caters to the green customer. We also have a comprehensive suite of solutions for commercial and industrial customers around the country. I am proud of our retail business today. And so going forward, our transformation focuses on doing what we do now, only better. In our residential segment, we're investing in our information platform, customer experience, product offering, and sales channels, all of them more digital than before, to better serve our customers. For example, we are expanding our product offering to include natural gas and backup power. We're using artificial intelligence to improve customer service. And earlier this year, we announced the acquisition of a new sales channel. In our business segment, we are leveraging our market expertise and going beyond a basic commodity offering. More and more, we're providing services like demand response, renewables, and reliability, which are particularly important in a digital economy where our customers cannot afford to lose power, period. And all of these services are monitored and optimized centrally by our 24/7 commercial desk. The second thing is to repurpose our generation portfolio to better serve our customers. We have made significant progress in rebalancing our generation fleet in terms of scale, fuel type, and location. Going forward, our fleet needs to be more flexible to match peak in customer demand, and we need to own the right assets in the right locations. That means closer to our customers. There is also the opportunity to be more creative. Maybe it means to owning power plants, but maybe it means to renting or buying power from plants owned by someone else. Our commercial knowledge of power markets just will allow us to meet our customer needs in many different ways. The focus on our retail and the rebalancing of our generation portfolio is also increasing the predictability of our earnings and our free cash flow conversion, creating a more compelling investment proposition. Today, more than 60% of our earnings come from retail, which has more stable margin. And our EBITDA to cash flow conversion rate has increased from the low 20s to 70%. This is unmatched in a capital-intensive industry like the power industry. We run this business for cash, and over the next 5 years, we will generate excess cash equivalent to 75% of the market capitalization of the company today. I mean, this is going to provide us tremendous financial flexibility to achieve our long-term objectives. Now, to guide our capital allocation, we have established a disciplined philosophy with a set of clear and transparent principles that we have communicated to our customers, to our investors. To ensure that we succeed in achieving our vision and creating long-term value for our shareholders and other key stakeholders, we need to have a strong governance to guide and oversee our actions. Our board is highly engaged and aligned with our strategic initiatives. As part of our transformation, the board was reduced from 13 to 12 board members, and we added 2 new independent directors with relevant consumer experience to help us guide in our new corporate vision. Today, our directors represent a diverse mix of skills, experience, and viewpoints. With so many ambitious targets, I think it's important to highlight that nearly 80% of executive management compensation is tied to long-term performance. Now, I'm not sure if it's common for a CEO to proactively bring up executive compensation. But I do it because I believe that transparency creates trust and invites honest dialogue. I also think that it's important to show that we're not just talking about creating long-term value. Most of my executive team's compensation, as well as my own, is actually tied to our ability to do just that. And we all know that incentives drive behavior. And this is true at all levels in our organization. Sustainability at NRG is more than just environmental responsibility. Although that's certainly part of it, but it's a comprehensive framework that is embedded in our vision and mission. It is integrated in our culture, in our values, and actively supported by our management team and our board. In short, sustainability is part of our DNA. Our sustainability framework outlines clear goals and priorities across 5 key areas and is guided by 3 core principles: accountability, transparency, and community involvement. It's not enough to just have good intentions. We need actionable goals that are measurable and meaningful. Let me walk you through a couple of examples. Safety, our #1 priority, is measured and reported every quarter. Over the past few years, we have met our goal of achieving top decile safety performance, something we're very proud of. But as you know, even one injury is too many. So we continue to strive every day for an injury-free workplace. We were also the first in our sector to set science-based targets to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. 50% by 2030 and 90% by 2050. We are already 70% of the way to our 2030 goal and expect to reach our full target much earlier than planned. Goals are important, but we also need to communicate with our critical stakeholders along the way. Our investors in the room probably already know we were the first in our sector to report against the SASB standard, starting with our 2016 report. We have been including climate disclosures in our 10K since 2010, and we committed to the principles of the TCFD last year. Beyond our commitments to the investment community, we're also driven to improve the communities of our customers and colleagues. This expands from the large cities where we serve residential and commercial customers to the smaller communities that are home to our power plants. Just over a year ago, we experienced firsthand the devastation from Hurricane Harvey, and again last week with Hurricane Florence. Extreme weather is on the rise all over the world, but Harvey hit especially close to home. We have significant operations in the greater Houston area, including thousands of employees and many more customers. Our philanthropic arm, Positive NRG, has always had a strong focus on disaster relief, and the way our team responded during Harvey was outstanding. So this actually inspired us to think more comprehensively about the way NRG can help. We launched a program that triple matched employee donations for disaster relief and offer additional opportunities for NRG employees to volunteer. But we also use our core expertise as a company to rebuild resilience in these communities and help them better be prepared for the unforeseen. Well, I certainly recognize that I just share a lot of information about the evolution of the industry and NRG. But I hope you can see why I feel so strongly that the future of the power sector is bright. It is a future where customers have more choice and more control than ever before. A future where electricity is cleaner and is powering a much larger part of the US economy. A future where we will look back at today and wonder, how did we manage without the personal power options available for us today? I am excited about the way NRG will help deliver the energy future. And I am confident we're taking the right steps today to be successful down the road and build lasting shareholder value in the process. You know, Thomas Edison put it succinctly when he said, if there is a way to do it better, find it. Well, we at NRG are out there working every day to find it and to make it a reality. The strength and resilience of the American economy, of your organizations and businesses, depend on a power sector that can evolve and adapt along with them. This is the purpose that drives me and all my colleagues at NRG. More than ever, the power to redefine the electric sector is going to be in the hands of us, consumers of electricity. So we look forward to help you achieve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have time for a few questions? We have time. We'll put 7 minutes on the clock. So question over here.
Thank you. I'll try to speak up. In a future
Wait for the mic so people online can hear.
Thank you. In a future in which we decarbonize everything, clearly the demand for electricity will grow, whether it's transportation or the other big one, buildings, right, heating and cooling. Now, as you look forward, where is your capital going to be allocated? Is it going to be allocated to different kinds of generation? Is it going to be to that acquiring more consumers, to change the consumer experience? There's a lot of things you outlined. How do you set the priorities when you're going to cover generation, new generation, grid, consumers, new types of experiences? Is there some sense of how you're going to look across those to where you're going to spend your capital?
Yes, so our capital, as I mentioned, the value in our industry has moved from generation to retail. So our capital is going to be more focused on our retail business, on providing the platform so we can provide better energy solutions to our customers. Now, technology now allows consumers to have more say in terms of where their electricity is coming from. I mean, there is, I'm sure you're aware of the RE100. It's about 140 very large companies that have committed to 100% renewable energy. We want to help them achieve 100% renewable energy. So, our generation portfolio is going to be a mirror of our customers and our customers' wants and needs. So if every single one of our customers, and I'm going to polarize here, goes to 100% renewable energy, you can expect that our generation portfolio will transition from what it is today to 100% renewable energy. But we have to start first with our retail business. We have to make sure that we are the most compelling offer for our retail customers. Did that?
Yes, thank you.
Question, Bob Eccles, your hand went up first.
At the beginning of your very nice presentation, you made a little joke about safe harbor. So I have a question. To what extent do you think that well-intended regulations around disclosure from the SEC, perhaps overly interpreted conservatively by the legal community, and I have the misfortune of having 2 lawyers here and a guy behind me, to what extent do you think that's created kind of an institutional and structural context that creates disincentives for CEOs to talk about the long term in all of these different forums that Daryl was talking about in the beginning?
Well, I actually think that transparency is better, and it incentivizes us. It almost forces us to talk about the long-term strategy of our companies. And we can move away from just quarterly earnings. And the more instruments we have, like SASB standards, like TCFD, it allows us to actually have a conversation with investors about the impact, perhaps, of climate change, or the long-term prospects of our companies. So I actually think disclosures, transparency, and consistency helps us. One of the big challenges is when you don't have consistency. I mean, we're trying to meet the requirements from SASB, and then we're trying to meet requirements from GRI. I mean, we need some uniformity. So we can actually have a common layer that we can have a conversation about what is the impact of any trend of trends in the long-term strategy of our company.
With that, I see we have 7 thumbs up, so that's a record. So I have to ask that question or I'll get in trouble. How would you persuade a millennial recruit to accept a job if they had climate-related concerns about working in the energy industry?
Look, I mean, the power industry, and even we as a company, we're the reflection of what were the priorities when we all started. We wanted reliable, affordable, and safe power. Well, now we want cleaner power. So we as a company have an opportunity to transition to that cleaner future. So if you're a millennial and you are looking for a company that has a higher purpose, I don't know what better motivator there is to be in a company that actually can move the needle when it comes to climate change, that can move the needle when it comes to electrifying the transportation sector, when it moves the needle when it is to empower consumers. So I actually think that anybody, any millennial, and millennials actually are very drawn to purposeful companies. So I think we become very attractive to all of them.
One more question, right here in the front.
So, Mark Mandel from Wellington Management. Curious about your experience with activist shareholders, how influential they were in setting strategy, and was there any conflict with you thinking about other stakeholders or the long term and their involvement with your
I'm
company?
afraid we're out of time.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think, well, let me just say, for those of you who are not familiar in the room, we actually had an activist investor move into our company exactly January of 2017. I became CEO of NRG in December of 2015, and it was clear to me that we were on an unsustainable path. So we actually, took several steps to refocus the organization. Focus on our core competencies, onboarding our cost structure, and shore up our financials. So when the activist investor actually called me, it was a very quick conversation. We actually had great alignment. And the activist investor allowed us to accelerate that transformation. And we announced a plan in the last summer of 2017. It has been very well received by the investment community. Our total shareholder return the last 2.5 years has been over, close to 270%, 300%. But it is important to recognize that we had to put this foundation in place to be able to achieve the long-term strategy that I'm outlining today for all of you. You have to have that strong foundation to be able to achieve that. So, my experience was actually, a positive one because we had such a good alignment. But I can't speak for everybody else, other CEOs, how was their experience.